Hello, and welcome to episode 19 of the Kalopa Mission Control Podcast. I am your host, and it is a profound privilege to welcome you back to our quiet, observant corner of the maritime world. Whether you are listening to this while watching the morning mist burn off a quiet, sheltered harbour, listening to the rhythmic clinking of halyards against aluminium masts, or perhaps you are sitting warmly indoors. As the evening rain traces paths across your window pane, I invite you to pause, take a slow, deep breath. Let the tension in your shoulders gently fall away and allow the relentless, demanding noise of the modern world to simply drift into the background. Here, in this auditory sanctuary, we do not measure our time by the frantic alerts of a glowing screen or the urgent demands of a calendar. Instead, we measure it by the ancient, eternal breathing of the tides. We gather to track the meticulous, patient engineering of Kalopa Robotics and to marvel at the vast, complex, and deeply poetic expanse of our blue planet. We often speak of the ocean as a space that is increasingly mapped, monitored, and understood. Yet, the sea possesses a beautiful, enduring capacity to surprise us. It hides its greatest treasures in the deep, freezing dark, waiting patiently for us to look closely enough to see them. Consider a mystery that has lingered off the coast of West Africa for more than 60 years. In the 1960s, a group of marine surveyors off the coast of Benin hauled up fragments of coral in their nets. They were assessing fish diversity and searching for sandy, trawlable seabeds in the Gulf of Guinea. The discovery of the coral was noted, relegated to a brief paragraph in a dusty 130-page report, and promptly forgotten. With no further surveys conducted for decades, and with global coral reefs suffering catastrophic declines from warming seas, oceanographers simply assumed that whatever reef might have existed, there was long dead. But recently, a dedicated team of Beninese scientists, led by marine researcher Gérard Zinzindo-Houé, decided to look again. Armed with a modest grant, they jury-rigged a local wooden fishing pirogue to tow a high-tech sonar device 14 miles offshore. They battled repeated engine failures and heavy ocean swells, searching the deep waters for a ghost. What they found was nothing short of miraculous. Sending a deep-sea camera down to the mesophotic zone, the ocean's twilight zone roughly 54 meters below the surface, they did not find a graveyard. They found a thriving, vibrant, living coral garden. The footage revealed an undisturbed ecosystem teeming with life. They documented delicate soft octocorals, ancient black corals, and a rich community of sheltering fish, including the golden African snapper and the beautiful Guinean angelfish. This is a mesophotic coral ecosystem existing at the very lower limits of where sunlight can penetrate. Because it sits so deep, it has been largely insulated from the severe marine heat waves that have bleached the shallow reefs closer to the surface. It is a profound reminder that the ocean is not merely a static museum of loss, it is a resilient, breathing entity. When we leave these deep, hidden spaces in peace, nature finds a way to endure. But this resilience is perpetually tested by the far-reaching shadows of human industry. When we discover a pristine habitat like the deep reef in Benin, our first instinct is to draw a line on a map and declare it a marine protected area. However, as we have discussed before, the ocean is a fluid, dynamic medium. It does not respect the invisible borders we draw upon it. A sobering new study published in the journal Science Advances has highlighted exactly how porous these boundaries truly are. The research focused on the commercial tuna industry, specifically the use of drifting fish aggregating devices, or dFADs. To understand the scale of this issue, we must first understand the technology. A dFAD is a floating raft, often trailing long nets or ropes beneath the surface, deployed by industrial purse-seine fishing fleets. They are equipped with satellite-linked sonar buoys that allow companies to track them as they drift across the open ocean, gathering massive schools of tuna beneath them. Between 2007 and 2021, an estimated 1.4 million of these devices were deployed. But what happens when the fleet has caught its quota or the device drifts too far from the fishing grounds? Tragically, they are often simply deactivated and abandoned. They become ghost gear. They ride the ocean currents driven by the wind and the tides, and they drift directly into our most heavily protected marine sanctuaries. The researchers documented over 6,000 strandings of these devices across 174 marine protected areas globally. When these heavy rafts wash ashore, they do immense damage. They smash through fragile coral reefs. Their submerged trailing nets entangle endangered sharks, sea turtles, and marine mammals. And they leave the heavy burden of cleanup on small island developing states like the Maldives or the Seychelles, who simply do not have the resources to constantly clear industrial debris from their protected beaches. It is a tragic irony. We establish a sanctuary to offer marine life a safe haven, only to have the debris of industrial extraction drift silently across the boundary line. It proves that local conservation is inextricably linked to global accountability. We cannot protect a reef in isolation if we allow the waters upstream to be treated as an industrial dumping ground. How then do we monitor these vast invisible boundaries? How do we keep watch over millions of square kilometres of ocean to intercept this drifting debris or to deter the illegal fishing vessels that follow it? The answer lies in the rapidly evolving world of maritime robotics. And this week, we saw a glimpse of the future in the cold, unforgiving waters off the coast of the United Kingdom. The British robotics firm ACUA Ocean, working alongside the sensor manufacturer Teledyne FLIR, recently completed a groundbreaking demonstration for the UK Ministry of Defence. They took an autonomous, uncrewed surface vessel named the Pioneer, a robotic boat roughly 14 feet long, and sent it out into the heavy swell of the open sea. But the Pioneer was not just sailing, it was acting as an autonomous aircraft carrier. Imagine the scene: a grey, turbulent sea with waves rearing up to 4 meters in height, a violent pitching environment that would make sustained operations incredibly difficult for a human crew. Yet, the Pioneer, when utilizing a unique hull design that drastically reduces roll motion, held itself steady in the churning water. Completely autonomously, without a single human on board, the boat opened a secure housing on its deck and launched a tethered drone into the sky. Once airborne, the drone remained connected to the boat via a power and data cable, drawing electricity directly from the vessel below. This meant it did not have to land to recharge its batteries. It simply hovered high above the waves, acting as an unblinking high-altitude eye, running artificial intelligence software to detect and classify objects on the horizon in real time. It is the modern robotic equivalent of sending a sailor up the mainmast to the crow's nest, but with infinite endurance and perfect digital vision. The implications for marine conservation are staggering. Imagine fleets of these autonomous vessels patrolling the borders of remote marine protected areas in the Pacific. They could sail for weeks at a time, launching their tethered drones to scan the horizon for the radar signatures of illegal trawlers, or using their high-resolution cameras to spot the drifting, tangled mass of an abandoned tuna raft before it can crash into a fragile coral atoll. It is a beautiful synergy of technologies, the endurance of a robotic boat paired with the sweeping vision of a drone, offering us a new, tireless tool to stand guard over the ocean. Which brings us, as the tide always does, back to our own quiet corner of the world here at Kalopa Robotics. If you were to walk down the hallway from my office today and push open the heavy sound-dampening doors of our engineering workshop, you would not be greeted by the frantic flashing of live satellite telemetry. As it happens, we currently have no active missions braving the open ocean. Our mission control screens are resting in standby mode. Instead, the workshop is a haven of quiet, focused industry. The air is thick with the familiar, comforting smell of curing marine epoxy, denatured alcohol, and the sharp metallic tang of hot rosin core solder. Our fleet of 2.4 metre bright yellow autonomous sailboats rests securely on their padded wooden cradles. Their rigid carbon fibre wing sails have been detached, laid carefully across the long workbenches for inspection and maintenance. While the boats are dry and our engineers are deep in the weeds of refitting and upgrading our systems, it grants us a wonderful opportunity to talk about the physical dimensions of our vessels and the extraordinary global challenge that dictates their design. You might wonder, why exactly 2.4 metres? Why not build a larger, heavier boat that could more easily smash through the Atlantic swell? The answer lies in a remarkable international endeavour known as the Microtransat Challenge. The Microtransat is, quite simply, one of the most gruelling, romantic and technologically demanding robotic races on Earth. Established over a decade ago, it was designed to stimulate the development of autonomous marine vessels through friendly open source competition. The premise is deceptively simple. Build a completely autonomous sailing vessel no longer than 2.4 meters in length and program it to sail across the Atlantic Ocean. The boats must rely entirely on the wind for propulsion. They are not allowed to use propellers. They must harvest their own electrical power from the sun to run their navigational brains and satellite modems. And crucially, once they are launched from the coast of Europe or North America, no humans is allowed to intervene. The reality of this challenge is a masterclass in humility. To send a boat the size of a dining table into the North Atlantic is to invite destruction. The ocean is creatively, relentlessly hostile. Over the years, the Microtransat community has seen it all. We have watched brilliant, painstakingly engineered boats succumb to the sheer violence of autumn gales. We have seen them caught in massive patches of drifting sargassum weed, their tiny rudders hopelessly fouled. We have tracked them as they were accidentally scooped up in the nets of commercial fishing trawlers. And sometimes the satellite pings simply stop and a boat vanishes into the abyss, leaving its creators staring at a frozen dot on a computer screen, wondering what leviathan of the deep finally claimed their machine. But this shared adversity is exactly what makes the Microtransat community so vital. It is not a race driven by corporate secrecy or cutthroat rivalry. It is a brotherhood of engineers, university students, and oceanographers. When a team's boat fails, they openly share their telemetry data and their post-mortem analysis. Did the waterproof bulkhead fail under the crushing pressure of a breaking wave? Did the solar charge controller short-circuit in the high humidity? Did the collision avoidance algorithm fail to account for the drift of the Gulf Stream? Every failure is a data point. Every lost boat is a lesson that makes the next generation of vessels stronger. To survive the Microtransat, a 2.4 meter boat must be engineered to a standard of near perfection. The hull must be entirely self-righting, capable of being rolled 360 degrees by a rogue wave and popping back up like a cork. The electronics payload must be sealed in a state of absolute paranoia, potted in resin to survive the inevitable intrusion of corrosive salt water. The code governing the rudder must be elegant and infinitely patient, sipping microscopic amounts of battery power while constantly recalculating the optimal angle to catch a shifting, fickle breeze. This is why our engineers in the workshop today are obsessing over the torque of a single stainless steel bolt or the waterproof integrity of a single wire gland. Because we know that the Microtransat is not just a race, it is a proving ground. When a 2.4 meter robotic boat can successfully navigate the fury of the Atlantic completely alone, it proves that the technology is ready for the real work. It proves that we can build the silent, tireless sentinels that our blue planet so desperately needs. The boats we are building and refining today are the direct descendants of those early brave Microtransat challengers. They are the vessels that will one day patrol the boundaries of the newly expanded marine reserves in New Zealand. They are the robots that will map the deep, hidden coral gardens off the coast of Benin and listen for the illegal trawlers operating in the dark. And so, while our telemetry screens are dark today, the mission continues in the quiet hum of the workshop. We are refining our code, we are waterproofing our circuitry, we are preparing for the day when our bright yellow boats will once again slip beneath the waves, carrying our unwavering commitment to watch over the waters that sustain us all. Thank you for sharing this time with me today. If you have enjoyed our exploration of marine conservation and the robotic technology we build to support it, please consider subscribing to the Kalopa Mission Control Podcast on your favourite platform. And if you know someone who feels that same inescapable pull toward the sea, I would be deeply grateful if you shared this episode with them. Until we meet again, may your horizons be clear, the wind be fair, and the seas be kind. Goodbye for now. Summary. In episode 19 of the Kalopa Mission Control Podcast, we explore the ocean's enduring capacity to surprise us and the ongoing battle to protect its fragile ecosystems. We celebrate the miraculous rediscovery of a thriving deep-water coral reef off the coast of Benin, West Africa, found alive and well 60 years after it was presumed dead. We then examine a sobering new study revealing how abandoned, drifting fish aggregating devices, dFADs, from the commercial tuna industry are washing into the world's most strictly protected marine sanctuaries, highlighting the limits of borders drawn on a map. To address these monitoring challenges, we look at the future of maritime robotics, discussing a recent UK test of an autonomous vessel capable of launching its own drone in heavy seas. Finally, with the Kalopa fleet resting in the workshop, we delve into the rich history of the Microtransat challenge, exploring the romantic, gruelling realities of sending 2.4-metre robotic sailboats across the unforgiving Atlantic, and how this ultimate engineering proving ground prepares our vessels for vital conservation work.